Right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world. I tell you what, I'm cream crackered. It's been one of those weeks, Raj. It's been a long week.
The Christmas crackered.
That's a good one. I never thought of that one actually. But yeah, we're back with the Easy Talk, and it must be Friday, because Friday means it's the Easy Talk. The Easy Talk means it's Friday. But yeah, I'm so happy it's Friday. We've got an almost full house. We're waiting for Mube, the chairman of the board, to. You know what? I think I might have to remove that title, chairman of the board. Is he allowed to be late, Ralph?
I don't
chairman
think
of the board?
No? Oh, I think the chairman is the one that has the right to be late, right? It's all of us, that have to be on time. I don't know.
Okay. Let's have a vote on that. So anyway, guys, so yeah, we've got lots to talk about, and yeah, a certain part of a certain iconic footballer. But I shall see you on the other side of it. This music intro. Yes, my people, welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans. Oh, Roger's got like his glass of wine. I've been drinking wine every single day.
What are you? Are you a red wine? Are you a white wine man? What is it?
I'm a white wine person.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but my wife likes red wine. But yeah, we kind of mix it up
and make rosé.
Yeah. Anyway, make sure to subscribe to Cannon Fodder TV. Hit the bell notification button so you can be part of this wonderful community here on Cannon Fodder TV. Listen, let's get in the nuts and bolts and the bits and bobs of this one. But before we do, yeah, I did actually mention this guy here earlier, a couple of days ago. Yeah, Diego Armando Maradona, who passed away at the age of 60. I would say one of the greatest footballers who actually played the sport. Some people might say, well, no, maybe Pele. And I'm in Pele's corner. But listen, yeah, Diego Maradona. Do you guys want to say something quickly about Diego Maradona before we get into it?
I mean, I feel, Ralph, I think you're probably more positioned and probably more worthy of talking about Maradona than I am. So you go for it, mate.
Well, I'm too young to have seen Maradona play. Well, I think I must have seen him on TV in '94 at the World Cup, but kind of in his height. I didn't see him. But when he was managing the Argentina national team, I remember going to a game in Buenos Aires where they had to qualify. Well, they had to win to stay with a chance of qualifying for the South Africa World Cup. And they were playing Peru, and this kind of huge downpour started it was being played in River Plate Stadium, which, remember, he's from Boca. So this was the opposite stadium, lots of pressure. It's 1-1 going into pretty much stoppage time, and against Peru at home that's not a good enough result. And it's, you're worrying almost for him as well, or for the rest of the team, what the fans are going to do. And then he brings on a very old Martin Palermo, who's also from Boca. He must have been like mid-30s by then, and he manages to turn in the ball from a corner, like a scrappy corner, and they win 2-1. And Maradona's first thing is he runs off the side of the pitch, or onto the pitch from the touchline, and because it's been raining so much, he just slides down like on his front, and there's these incredible celebrations. And then, of course, they did manage to get to the World Cup where he managed them as well. In Paraguay, he's of course very, very revered. I think in Paraguay we had the nice situation that he didn't actually win that many games against the national team, because Paraguay always managed to control him as best you can, that kind of player. So I think people like it because we don't have any kind of traumatic memories of him scoring 3 or 4 goals against Paraguay. And yeah, it's very sad. I mean, I think his last, since that South Africa time, pretty much it was very difficult for him with all those different demons he had off the pitch. And so I think it was very sad to see this play out, because we knew he was really fighting, surviving kind of thing in these last 10 years or so. And sad that he's gone so soon at only 60.
Yeah. For you, is he the greatest footballer?
Well, because I didn't see him play, I don't know if I can. It's hard to judge him. For me, the best players I've seen kind of live are Thierry, Zidane, and Messi. Those three are kind of the ones that are etched onto my brain. I mean, Zidane, for example, I remember him playing with Henry in the French national team. I saw them at Wembley just after they won the World Cup, I think. And I saw them again in 2004, Euro 2004. And it was just, wow, that guy, Zidane was really up there. And Messi, of course, being an Arsenal fan, we had to see him, cross him plenty of times with Barcelona. But then when you look back at the videos of Maradona, because like I said, I didn't get to see him live, the stuff he did with the ball was incredible. Even, I mean, there's some of these clips on YouTube of him warming up for games at Napoli with all his laces undone, and he's just doing these crazy tricks with the ball. It's incredible. So I mean, he's definitely up there. I wish I could have got to see him play on the pitch live.
Yeah. Chairman of the board, welcome to the live show. How are you, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, man, we're here, man. Running a little bit late, but got here on time. It don't sound like you guys did too much.
Well, you're the chairman of the board. Thank you for that one. So yeah, we've got the full house now. The full house is here. Moving. Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about the game yesterday. Yeah, Arsenal eventually overcame the slight resistance from MOLDE FK. As soon as you're late in, Mube, your thoughts on the game yesterday, man?
I'm late in today, but I was early in for that one. So, I did manage to watch the game. I actually enjoyed the game. It's been a while since I think it's just because I saw the lineup and all the young players on the field. I was looking forward to watching the game. So I think we played pretty decent. First half wasn't the best, but second half, I think it was just for me more about individual performance than a team thing. I was just happy to see the youngsters shine, the Reece Nelsons of this world, Balogun come on and did his thing. I was always happy when these young players play well, man. So for me, that's what the game was about. We should be winning these games, let's be honest. But when you win it with your youngsters playing well, given a chance, we have to give credit too. I remember we on the show and we always say that, we have all these youngsters at the club and we're not giving them a chance. But yesterday, you look in the squad, it's like 11 from our academy, 11, 12 players out of the squad yesterday was our players, So we have to give credit where credit is due. We want to see some of these players starting to get blood into the Premier League squad, and that's the next step for us. But as far as the game yesterday, I really enjoyed the game. Reece Nelson was a standout performer for me, but it was good to see Pepe get on the score. Good to see him. I'm smiling. He had a good game, and he's going to have something to prove. He's going to be missing at the weekend, but then he's going to play again next Thursday. So he has something to prove to get back in the squad for me. But I definitely want to see one or two of these youngsters start coming in the team. Nelson is ahead of the game for me. Smith Rowe came on. I don't think he's ready to start in the Premier League game yet because he's been injured. A lot of people have been asking for him to play, but he's been injured a lot this season. So just want to see these youngsters get back up and running. But yeah, man, definitely start working some of them in the Premier League team.
Raj, your assessment of yesterday's game against MOLDE FK?
Yeah, you know what? I think just building on something Mobe said at the beginning, I think it's quite enjoyable to watch these Europa games, right? I mean, if we put in comparison, I think we had 19 shots on goal against MOLDE versus, if you think about our last few Premier League games, it's a stark contrast, and I think it's just quite enjoyable to see us play games in which we're dominating kind of in an attacking sense. Similarly, from the Dundalk game, it felt that we only really got going after 40 or so minutes. It feels like it's taking us a little while now. But I think, seeing the young players play, and they obviously feel they've got something to prove. There's that extra bit of spark, I think, because they want to prove something. So it's really nice to see all that. At the same time, I think I'm always trying to manage my own expectations and keen for our fans to do the same. At the end of the day, the Norwegian league, let's be honest, this is no disrespect to the Norwegian league, but it's probably not as strong as the Championship is. if we're brutally honest. I mean, you make a lot more money in the Championship than you do if you're playing in the Norwegian league. So I think we need to manage our expectations a little bit when we see players playing well for us, our young guys especially, against the likes of Molde. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to come into the Premier League and do the same thing. But, at the same time, sometimes football's about entertainment. You've just got to take it for what it is. And it's enjoyable seeing us play in the Europa League at the moment.
Absolutely. And just before I go to Ralph, your thoughts on the reaction from Pepe after getting the red card?
That was to Ralph, right?
No, it's to you, Raj.
Oh, to me? That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, clearly I've had too much of this. Sorry. It's the perfect reaction. You couldn't really ask for more. And to contrast what I was saying about the strength of opposition, you can only play with what against what's put in front of you, right? So, and he did that. He rose to the occasion. I felt that he really looked. He had this. I guess the biggest compliment I can pay him is that he looked like he had the same level of humility as a lot of our younger players. So it felt like he was on that pitch feeling, yeah, I've got to do something. I've got to prove myself. And it felt like he wanted to be the first to the ball. He wanted to make something happen. I really, really enjoyed seeing a lot of his link-up play. He wasn't, being selfish either. But at the same time, we saw glimpses there of his quality. There were things that he was doing which you probably thought no one else on the pitch could probably do that. And, I know, when he hit the bar very soon before he scored, I think he really got into gear at that point, didn't he? And I think he thought, I'm having this. And you could tell the Molde players were a bit scared. I felt, again, no disrespect, but it felt that they were a bit like, this guy's a serious player. So really, really happy with what he did. And I hope he can just springboard back into the Premier League and use whatever happened against Leeds as a stepping stone to really, really push on.
Brilliant. Ralph, your thoughts on yesterday's game?
Yeah, I think, echoing what the guys are saying, it was fun to watch. At no point, there were a couple of chances in the first half when Molde did look like they might take the lead again, like they had in Emirates, which was a bit concerning. But apart from that, I think we kind of knew what the result would be. And it was just enjoying watching the game, watching some of that link-up play. I felt as a team, they were still a bit disjointed and took time to get, to really get into the game. But that makes sense if you think of the amount of changes and how often they will have played together is probably, as that unit is not very often. So it took a bit of time, but then it was really exciting. And we saw sparks of it in the first half, and then the second half, we got the end product from the players. And in terms of standout players, I thought Willock had a good game again. So, he popped up with 2 assists, and he's starting to find some end product where I think we didn't really see much of that before. And then you had Reece Nelson, who Arteta was asked about him after the game. And I think what he said about Nelson was, well, we all knew about what he can do on the ball. He's more concerned about being Arteta, right? He's more concerned about defensive and how he's tactically where he is off the ball. And he went into length to explain that they're working on this. They're having almost individual meetings, a lot of like one-on-one sessions with Reece Nelson to try and get him to the standard that Arteta is expecting off the ball, which is what he'll need, I guess, to transition into that Premier League team. Because for a lot of these young players, I think this is a great experience, and let's hope they get to play the next 2 Europa games, but they're not really ready for, to dive into the Premier League at this stage. But Nelson's that player who is. He's there, isn't he, on the fringe, really. Yeah. And for Pepe, same thing. For Pepe, it's kind of, he was punished a bit, right? It's like, look, you're going to have to go to Norway in the freezing cold and play, and you're not going to play with some of the first teamers that you're accustomed to. So you're going to have to sort of lead this a bit. And he stepped up, and I think he showed a great attitude. And I think I would imagine Arteta used this as a test to see, okay, let's see, how does he react that I say, okay, you're going to have to go off to Norway, play this game, and then, and then you're not used for the Premier League because obviously you're suspended. So he's had to do all this travel, and he's responded really well, I think.
You can see from his reaction. You can watch the other Europa League game and look at the player that was playing. You could tell he didn't want to play those games because he should be playing on the weekend. This one was a little bit different because he know he wasn't going to play on the weekend. You could see him smiling. You could see him enjoying the game. He wasn't thinking about the weekend. He was in the moment playing yesterday, and that's what he needs to do more, and that's only going to come when the coach give him confidence also. It's not just a player thing. You have to show confidence in him. He's only started a handful of games this season. He started away to Manchester City in the Premier League, I think. I haven't started another game, or probably the other day when he started and got sent off. But other than that, he hasn't really, Arteta hasn't really put the confidence in him. I know he's asking for confidence in himself and he wants consistency from him, but as a coach, you really have to try and work with him because you can see when he's enjoying himself. He's a wonderful player. Yesterday, you could see that. He was just playing freely. That's the kind of Pepe that we want to play.
Yeah. But there's one player, and I don't think it was a game really to critique too much because, again, they got the result. I was happy to see a lot of the young players play. I was hoping to see Miguel Aziz play. I thought that's maybe pushing it a bit. But there's one player that's really concerning me these last few games, and that's Lacazette. He looks like a shadow of himself, Mube. What's happening to your man? Hitman Lacazette, what's going on?
I don't know, man. Lacazette, I'm gonna have to hang up the Lacazette FC, man. I've been running this for a while, man.
Yeah.
But guys, I don't know, and you can't say he's not getting the chances. We're trying him in different positions. We're trying to work with him. He's just not getting onto the end of things. And then when he's in the box, he's so out of form. He hesitates. I see him get a chance yesterday on his right. He could have struck it with his right. He was in the 18. You have to get a shot there. If you're a striker, you have to take a shot. He cut it on his left. He still had time to shoot with his left. He didn't shoot either. He eventually got crowded out, and that's what sums him up right now. He's just so shot and confident. He's scared to take a shot. Even scared to take it. You can see Arteta play him yesterday behind Nketiah, to give him a little bit more freedom because he's not getting in the box on crosses. Like even when he's playing as a forward, that's our main problem when he's playing up front. He does not get in the box. And when he does, he doesn't take his chances. So I don't know, man. I think it's damning that you see that they haven't even tried to offer him a contract. I think this is it for him because they haven't even tried to offer him a contract. The new regime said 2 years on your contract and start talking to you. He only got a year and a half left. They haven't even said, nobody has mentioned anything about it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave in January, but I know definitely in the summer. I don't think he's going to be here next summer.
God, dear me. Raj, man. Lacazette. What's going on with Lacazette, man?
I agree with that. I mean, there are some players in the squad where, they probably have a right. You can argue and say that, they're played out of position. Are they getting the right chances? Are we being fair? I mean, Lacazette is getting every single chance that you could possibly get. I mean, he's a lucky guy, right? I mean, when it's not working out as a number 9, we're playing him as a number 10, and we're doing whatever we can to I think help him. And I don't think it's an attitude problem. This is the thing. I think, when I see Lacazette play, it does feel like he cares and it feels like he wants to do well. There's a real void of confidence, and unfortunately, I just don't think you get that much time when you're a player of his seniority. That is asked to lead the line for Arsenal. You can't spend too much time without scoring and without making an impact, unfortunately. And I think, to Mobe's point, it's right. I don't see us offering him a new contract. I think that at the moment he's got some value. I think there are clubs that will still look at him now and think he could still do a job for us. I think maybe, a new challenge, a new league, who knows, he's still decent age. So, I'd be very surprised if we're not trying to offload him in the summer. I can't see us offloading him in January because I think we'd be a bit short of numbers. I think that would be a challenge, but I can see us really trying to offload him in the summer. And it's sad because, I'm a Lacazette fan. I've always liked that. I think mainly because he tends to score in big games and, he's got that sauce, it's just, he's a guy that you really want to do well for the club, but we need more. And he's getting a lot of chances.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Big game Lacazette, man. We miss him. He's a big game. He don't score a lot of goals, but those big games, he usually shows up. For some reason, he always scores against Manchester City, Liverpool. Even when we getting smacked up, he always seems to score. Tottenham. Now it's like he doesn't score at all. That's gone. So,
dear Ralph, man, Lacazette, odd man out.
Yes. He's one of those players that he does so much good work without scoring. So as long as your team are performing well, that can almost go not unnoticed, but let's say there's not so much pressure on him. So towards the back end of last season, I think he was combining really well with Aubameyang, and Aubameyang was scoring all these crucial goals, so we didn't miss it so much. But now we're in a situation where we're seeing Alba struggling a bit, and that's when you would need Lacazette to be scoring, because he's doing all the good stuff of the hold-up play, the kind of pressing and that kind of thing. But at some point, it's like the guys are saying, you need him to actually score, and maybe the longer it goes, the more the confidence erodes. And then it's harder to pick him up again. And you see this sometimes with players where sometimes you do just need to move, because it's the new challenge. It's not that he's going to become a better player somewhere else or a worse player somewhere else. It's just having that fresh challenge and, a change of scenery.
Yeah. And he's 28, 29?
Yeah, I think that he is 28. Turning 29 this season.
He's turning 29 next year. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, just to add, if we look at it this way, when we signed Lacazette, we had Giroud, and we therefore signed Lacazette as a set of qualities that would complement what we already had. So effectively, someone who could play with Giroud or offered something different. Now, and part of that was because we deemed Giroud not good enough to lead the line for our team and bang 25 goals a season. We're now playing Lacazette in a very similar role to Giroud. We're basically making him do a lot of the hold-up play, dirty work. And I wonder if part of that is because he's not getting the goal production that we hoped that he would. And I guess just to take a moment and think about it that way, and think that the fact is we ended up playing him in this Giroud-type role when he was never signed to do that. It was never the intention. We clearly didn't think he had the skill set even necessarily to perform that role. And so it's just difficult to see this. You want to see him as a proper number 9. You want to see him as an all-action in the box, scoring those goals, getting on the end of things. And at the moment, we're just having to sort of facilitate him a little bit to bring other players in. It's tough.
Yeah, I feel for him, because he was like our player of the season 2 seasons ago, and it looks like a shadow of his former self. But anyway.
He had scored. He was our top scorer. Like, is he still our top scorer? Like at the first few games, I think he had scored at least 3 and 4 or something like this.
That's the point we made at the beginning of the season. He scored those goals. The first 3 games of the season, he scored, and then he missed that chance against Liverpool, and Arteta took him out of the team for 2 games. That's what I don't agree with. So I'm going to just blame him for it, because when you have a striker that's on form scoring, not because you missed a chance against Liverpool, he didn't play the next games. He didn't play the game at home. I think the game after that we played was Sheffield, I think. He didn't even get a minute, and then we played the Europa League, and he didn't play the Europa League game either, the first Europa League game. And then we was like, oh, he's going to start at the weekend, and then he only came on for the last half of that game. So you have a player that scored 3 and 3 and then only play like 20 minutes the next 3 games. I mean, at some point too. But listen, we can't say he's not getting the chances, because he got to put those chances away. You're a top scorer. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him, but he was scoring. He did score against Leicester City, a goal that should have stood and got taken away from him. But then he should have scored against Liverpool too. He came on the cup final, not the cup final, the cup game that we played at Liverpool. He took his penalty well. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for him. It's just that it's so much on him now that Aubameyang is not scoring. Like Nortbank said, you have to show up. When Aubameyang is not playing, it shows up on the rest of the players. It shows up on Pepe. It shows up on Willian. I don't think people talk enough about Willian. We haven't seen him since the Fulham game at the start of the season. How bad can Pepe be? You can't get in over that guy. He has given us absolutely nothing since that. So I don't know, man. I just hope he can find his form, because I really like him. He's my guy, but he's looking doom and gloom, man. I'm going to have to retire that Lacazette shirt. I got like 3 of them, man. I'm never buying another player's shirt. I've never.
But Mobe's point, I think, is really important, because I think we're looking at Lacazette partly because everyone else isn't doing well either, and it's almost kind of if you look at it this way, we had 8 shots on target against Molde, okay, but in our last 3 Premier League games, we've had 2 shots on target each game. We had 2 shots on target against Leeds. We had 2 shots on target against Villa. We had 2 shots on target against Man United. We had 4 shots on target against Leicester. So all in all, if you add those 4 games up, you get to 10. and we had 8 against Molde. So, just putting it into context, it's just not good enough in the Premier League at the moment, right? It's just not, and it's not just Lacazette, but then you look at him because he is that central striker that you feel that, needs to be doing that a little bit better. But I agree with Mobe, at the end of the day, sometimes it could be perhaps a little bit harsh to focus on just him, but you need the strikers as a group. They just need to do a bit more for me, so.
I never thought, this new season, our problem would have been, scoring goals. I never thought. I thought, maybe defensive problems.
That was the last of our problem.
This season, we're scraping for goals. We can't find a goal for a penny. Really, really strange. Really, really strange. But let me go to
I see people saying our goal of the month for last month was going to be the penalty at Old Trafford.
Oh God.
Let me go to live chat before it starts to run away from me. I've got Ashley D says, "Hey up, power to the Gooners and power to you." Colin Young says, "I'm ready. Hello, Alex, moderators and distinguished guests. Let's be Goonalicious on Friday." So you got Ralph drinking his Ralph. What are you drinking?
Coffee. It's early here.
Okay, all right. And Mube, what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking nothing. I'm not even home. You don't notice the setting? I'm in a hotel room. I'm not even home. I don't have nothing to drink. I need to get home. I'll get home tomorrow. Don't worry.
I'm Raj drinking red wine.
Drinking red wine. Yeah. What about you, Alex? What have you got there?
Good old orange juice, mate. Oh, you can't see it, can you? It's orange juice.
Very cool. Looks like you're drinking Arsenal juice there.
Colin says, Hennessy Friday, woohoo!
Oh, clearly not.
Nah, I got my water bottle. That's all that's in it is water today. It's nothing.
John Wayne's in the house. He says, "Evening, Alex, and a guest. A big up." The assembled says, "Evening, gentlemen." Colin Young says, "I don't care who they play. They play Hungary, and hunger translates to how we are not playing currently." And I think he's been saying for the longest time we need to play some of the youngsters in the Premier League. And I saw your tweet, Raj, about if the youngsters do well, don't be like what was your tweet again? Don't overreact.
I think it's an overreact. Again, all I'm just trying to say is at the end of the day, like we have to put it into perspective, and playing well against Molde is not the same against playing against Wolves. It's just not the same. So all I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's no right to praise some of these players. Neither am I saying that we shouldn't give these guys a chance. It's just that it's not as black and white as, oh, see, they did so well against Molde. Why can't they? They obviously need to be in the team. I'm sure Arteta, if he really believed that they were going to make the difference, he'd play them. And I think he will. I think they're going to get chances, don't get me wrong. But I think that what we've seen from evidence is Arteta seems to be very, very prescriptive of how he wants the guys to play. And I think particularly in the Premier League, there's a load of instructions. There's a lot for people to take on. And I think we've commented on Willock previously. It's so interesting to see how much Arteta is instructing Willock during the games. He's giving him so many instructions, and I think, I think we just need to bear that in mind. That whether we agree with it or not, there's a lot that Arteta expects from his players, particularly in these Premier League games. And I think we just need to keep this in mind and not get too carried away and assume that we can throw these kids in and they're going to do bang in the Premier League.
Yeah, because it can have the reverse effect. You can burn the players by putting them into the Premier League where maybe they're not ready and they have 2 or 3 bad games, and then they're kind of not considered for the rest of the season. I mean, you have to give them time and maybe start getting some consistency in these, let's say, easier games in Europa League, League Cup. Well, actually, this year the League Cup, we don't have any easy games because we've got all the hard draws. But give them some of that time first before throwing them into the deep end in a Premier League match.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I know we haven't been together since the Leeds game, and I did see Raj, your tweet about Alba. Just because he plays centrally, that doesn't automatically mean that he's going to score goals. It's a lot more complex just switched over to the central attacking role. And
well, I think that's, again, I don't want to seem like I'm, being a real killjoy or just saying that we're not allowed to have opinions. Of course, we're allowed to have opinions, but I think the way that a lot of the fan base were talking was that, play Oba through the center and suddenly we're going to win games, and that it's not. Look, guys, it's not that easy to be a football manager at the top level. It's not. It doesn't just work like that, right? There's a lot more that goes into this, and I think, in a way, obviously, I would have preferred it if we had won. Beat Leeds, so obviously I would have preferred it if we had played a lot better. But the fact is, we played Oba through the middle. We started Willock as well, and it wasn't some kind of glorious difference that we were all perhaps hoping that it may be. It's a bit more complicated than that, right? And I think, my point, just generally, I think maybe in that tweet or in a separate one also, was that at the same time, I still feel that a lot of these senior players in these games or in these systems where they're not getting heaps of chances, just need to take a little bit more responsibility, to be honest. When you're Oba is the highest paid player in the Premier League. I'm sorry. I know, again, he's done so much for us. He's just going through a bad, but I have faith he's going to get back to it. Don't get me wrong. I have faith he's going to get back to it. But I think at the same time, we should still, feel the right to criticize him in the same way that we would feel the right to criticize another player. I think, we should say to these senior guys, I think as fans, that we expect a little bit more. Obviously they're not going to listen to us, but my point is, I think whatever the case, whatever the system, I think we've got a very expensive forward line, yeah, who need to be converting these chances.
Yeah.
Hey, remember the last show I was on, I asked that same question. I say, what if we put Oba up front and we still score the goals? Now what? Now what? I asked that question.
Yeah, but we've got to stick with it. We've got to stick with it.
I mean, you have to stick with it, but the fan base is just going to blame the other players around them. No matter where you put them, they're just going to blame the other players. It is what it is. People are gonna. You can't. He's our highest paid player. He's supposed to be scoring goal, but it's not just put him up front and he's going to score. That's just not how it works. I really do think Arteta too needs to start being consistent and just, if you're going to play him up front, play two wingers that can help him. I don't think he's going to play well when you have Willian playing on the wing, because Willian is not a winger. We need to get that. I think Willian really needs to be playing in the Europa League, to be honest, just to get up to speed, get a goal, get some assists, get some confidence going. But we need to play Aubameyang up front with two youngsters. And I put this. I think I said it to Alex. If we can get Saka, Nelson, and Aubameyang just to start a game, just to see what he go. Give him two youngsters around him. That way he don't have to do so much work. You're going to get the work from Saka. We already know that. And now Nelson is he's putting in the work too. You put a Willock in the middle of the field with a Partey and IL Nene. Now you have a workman front six that is going to run and cover ground like Arteta want them to do. And maybe that can give Aubameyang the chance to shine. He only need one chance. He doesn't really miss chance. Well, he do miss some chances. Like sometimes he missed some easy one, but most of them he's going to put away. So we all need to create a few chances for him to score some goals, man. Look better defensively, and that's what we can't get. We can't lose that in our problem with scoring goal. We can't forget how better we are defensively. We are miles better than we were just a year ago. We're so much better defensively. No matter who is playing in that back line, we just look like an organized team defensively. So we can't forget that. It's not going to change, but we want to see changes now, but we still got to be patient, man. Still got to be patient.
Yeah. Ralph, do you want to chip in on this quickly before I move on?
Sure. I think it's what we've seen from the team so far is much more defensive stability, and I think I don't know exactly what Arteta expects, but I think knowing from how, say, someone like Pep has played before, is you want that real rigidity defensively and be very tactically aware and very tight, but then he gives you creativity in the final third. But I think what the players are finding is, well, we've got so many instructions of how to be defensive, and without the ball, there's almost, they're losing some of that creativity going forward because they're scared of, well, if let's say I make that diagonal run, how am I going to get back to cover, which is what I'm meant to be doing if we lose the ball? And so maybe there's not that confidence yet of how we can how we can keep being creative in the final third with this defensive stability that we have. And I think what they're all scared of is we don't want to be the guy that's messing up defensively, because we've seen that's kind of seeing players get cut. So I don't know. That's the way I've kind of seen it at the moment. But then that's when you need your Alba or your senior players to be saying, okay, let's do. We've got confidence in ourselves. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Ralph, just build up. Do you think so? Do you see fear in the players as a result of this?
I think there could be, because if you look at let's not talk about Ozil, but there's also look at Guendouzi. There's players. Well, Pepe we weren't sure about, but now we've seen Pepe got this chance, I guess, to redeem himself. But I was wondering if after the red card we don't see Pepe again for a while. But I think he got this kind of make or break chance yesterday. So it does seem that Arteta is very strict, and I think maybe some of the players, especially with fighting over so many positions. I mean, there's not really too many names that are straight onto the team sheet. So I think a lot of players must be thinking, I prefer to be cautious and make sure I do my job defensively, to not have, to not get into any trouble or risk losing my place because of doing something, moving out of position when I shouldn't have, that kind of thing. So there's that risk taking, I guess.
Yeah. Back into the live chat, just a few more. Got a funny one here. I think it's clear that Pepe is the greatest player in the universe. Really? Okay. What have you been drinking, Mr. 999? Jules Jarmus says, big up Gunners, listening to you from Kenya. Thank you for that. Yesterday, I noticed Pepe didn't smile when he scored, but he later smiled when he wasn't happy with a decision the referee made. This guy's mind games are playing with my heart. Don't let it reach that stage. Let's go on to the next part we want to talk about, which was the transfer window. There's only been one transfer window, and again, just doing the live shows for the last 2 weeks now. Again, people saying Arteta out, doesn't know what he's doing. He's only had one transfer window.
Is that two? He's had two.
Well, okay. All right, two then.
He had a January. But no, what the most interesting observation I think from Arteta's transfer window is that the only attacking player he signed is Willian on a free.
Yeah.
Right, that's the only attacking player that he signed. So Arteta deserves more windows, right? Like, I think what we've seen him is address things from the back. I think we've seen him recruit at the back, and I think he's getting that sorted first. And I imagine that the next couple of windows will be more focused on our attacking production, and it'll be more around midfielders who can provide that attacking impetus and the forward line. But it's going to take a few windows, guys, right? Like, we need to be patient. And so there's absolutely, they should, and second, it's not just the Arteta show. These aren't the Wenger days. So it's not just Arteta who's making these decisions, right? Like, there's obviously a strategy which Edu's involved with Josh Kroenke's involved with, you name it. And I think it's going to take some time. And you certainly cannot judge Arteta based on one January transfer window and one summer transfer window. No chance.
Yeah. Mube, your thoughts, man. People going wild. Arteta out. Doesn't know what he's doing. Won't take Arsenal.
Yeah. That's people for you, man. It's soon as things don't go their way, and then everybody forget about the FA Cup that he just won and whatever it is. Look, man, you have to give him time, and everybody's right. We didn't even have a summer to prepare for this season either. No team did. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, we're trying to. There's a lot of players that's playing here that just know that they're not going to be playing. They're not long-term future at this club. So we're playing with a lot of players that know they're not wanted, pretty much. You see what I'm saying? So that is going to make a difference when you try and build.
Mube, has your microphone come detached, because we can. You sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see there's a lot of players that we're playing with here that know they're not really needed at this club. Look at a player like Kolasinac. we try to sell him. There's Mustafi. He's not needed. These players are still in the squad. And that's why until we can, for me, it's more about getting rid of players than even buying players first, because we have so much players in the squad. We have to be leaving players out at home, time after time, not playing. So it's more about even letting these players leave than trying to bring new players in first. Yes, we do need players. January, I would love to see us get a creative midfielder or whoever else we're linked with. But I still want to see first. I need to see some players leave. I need to see Kolasinac leave. I need to see Mustafi leave, because I feel like I don't want our youngsters learning from these players. I don't want Saliba learning from Mustafi. Okay, it's just, that's just the way it is for me. That's just me. I don't want Saliba learning from Mustafi. We have to get rid of these players. There's a lot of players. I can think of like 10 players now that might be turning up at training and be like, I'm not wanted at this club, but I'm just going to go play anyway because, I'm leaving in January. How you think it'd feel for a player like Ozil? He got to turn up the training every day. Yes, he's not going to play games, but you got to turn up for the training every morning. You're going to turn up for training the next day. The next day, you're not going to play the week. You're not in the consideration. You're not going to put the same effort in training. So until we can get rid of these players, I think it's going to take a slow process. So it's a full rebuild. People don't want to see it. People just think it's, we are continuing from what we did, but we made a lot of mistakes towards the end of Wenger reign, the Emery reign. We brought in a lot of players that was just not the right players to bring in at the time. And now we're stuck with those players. We have to just sit this one out. We have to suck this season up. I think we really do need to suck this season up. We need to build, and I think we're doing a good job building. We do need to play better. Don't get me wrong. I think that will come with time, but we do need to build a team. And I don't think you can build a team when players just know for a fact you're not going to play this weekend. We just need to get rid of these players. Hopefully, I'm praying we can get rid of 5 players in January. I don't even care what they cost. Mustafi can just leave. Kolasinac can just, we do need the money for him because he do have a long contract. Let's not get over ourselves. But yeah, some of these players do need to go, sure.
Yeah, Ralph. Only two transfer windows and people are going crazy. Mass hysteria. Arteta out.
Yeah, it's too soon. And it isn't really 2 transfer windows. He must have come in just before. He came in December, didn't he, last year? So he hardly had time. But I think, the first thing is I wouldn't expect too much in January, because everybody knows that January is notoriously difficult to get a good player. It has to be kind of a lot of conditions have to fall into place that you just have a player who's maybe had a managerial change where they were, or they're having difficulties to try and snap them up. It's very rare that you get your main targets in the January window. I'm trying to think back to Arsenal. The 2 I can remember that we signed that we kind of really wanted in January was, I think, Arshavin and Adebayor. They're the 2 that I can remember in a January that we really wanted and went well. Went well for a time. And then so it's more, again, thinking, let's think ahead towards the summer. Let's get through this season. Also, the way Arteta's trying to play is obviously it's not going to work if you just pick up players in January and try and slot them in. It's going to take them time to adapt to the way he's playing. Remember, he hasn't managed anybody else. He can't kind of go and pick up players that he's worked with before, which is the advantage you get with some of the older managers. Whoever he brings in won't know exactly his style or how he wants to play. So I think January is kind of, I wouldn't expect too much personally, and it's more looking towards the summer, and for sure stick with Arteta. There would be no point hiring him in the first place if it wasn't a 2-3 year project, because that's kind of why we got him, right? Because he was probably cheaper than another big name, and also because we knew he had that willingness to sit and work with the team for 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. Going to the next one very, very quickly. Next topic. Let's talk about Jack Wilshere coming back to Arsenal. And Jack Wilshere, Raj, really?
Yeah. Look, on one hand, okay, before we signed Thomas Partey, there was this period where I think we were a bit light on numbers in central midfield, and you know what? I thought Jack Wilshere on a pay as you play kind of deal. Is it really a bad idea? He knows the club. He might be a good figure to have in the dressing room. Is it that bad an idea? but hang on, like, you know, he's not. I'm thinking about that more in the sense that we need a body to play against Dundalk and MOLDE, right? Like, not in a he's the answer to any of these problems that we're having. Like, you know, no, like, you know, there's a part of me that would be really happy to see him back in some way. Like, you know, come on,
part of you.
Nostalgic part, you know, he was at one point he was the great hope, wasn't he? I mean, we all every Arsenal fan has a place in their heart for Jack Wilshere. So if we signed him on a pay-as-you-play deal, honestly, even if we did it now, I wouldn't be that annoyed. I certainly don't think Arteta would do it with an intention of making him an integral part of the team. You know, so I think overall I'd actually be supportive of it, but that's based on the confidence that I know that he wouldn't be coming in to, you know, be a part of the first team necessarily. So, you know, it's but the sentiment is there. We all love Jack Wilshere, don't we?
Yeah. MOLDE, Wiltshire, Arsenal.
Bring him in. Hey, look, man. Jack and Boy, that's my guy, man. Like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to it. You know, the thing is, it's rare to find players that now that's connected to a club like he is. Yes, he's injured, but we don't really have those players that, you know, fabric. You can see players look up to him. I remember Saka did an interview, and they all these players from the Hill and Academy, they always praising him about how he inspired them to get to where they are now because of his pictures that's at the academy and stuff like that. You know, it's just a player that you're not going to find that out when you buy the quality of the player. Is he the same player that left us, the same player that destroyed Barcelona at the Emirates? I don't think he is anymore, but you know, like Raj said, at one point we were very light in midfield before we signed Partey. Him coming in would stop the progress of a lot of the young players too. Maybe that's why I would be opposed to it at that point. But man, if it was to happen, listen, if I had to pick between bringing Eriksen and Jack Wilshere back to the Emirates, listen, Eriksen can kick rocks. It's not happening, you know. Not happening. Bring back Jack Wilshere. I think a one-legged Wilshere to take Eriksen back to the Emirates.
That's your heart talking, mate. That's your heart talking.
It is my heart. I see. Hey, I haven't been posted in the group, but I see you guys talking about this Eriksen thing. I did too. Listen, he would help us. He would help us. He's different from what we have. But I look at the thing like at the Eriksen thing. Now I look back at it. When I first heard it, I was like, yeah, man. But now I look back at it. He's exactly the same player that Ozil is. We don't need another one of those players. He's the exact same player that Ozil is. That's the reason why they got rid of him from Tottenham. He's not a Marina type player. He's not going to run around and chase the ball like a Willock do. He's going to stroll around the field just like Ozil do. And we're going to complain the same way about him. No, not going to happen.
I mean, in fairness, Bobe, like, I mean, even from the documentary, the Amazon Prime doc, I don't know if you saw it, the Tottenham one, but like they wanted to keep Eriksen. He wanted to leave, right? It wasn't,
I saw that.
You know, but I do agree with you in the sense that, like, you know, I think I was saying this in the group as well, right? Where I spoke to a guy I know who's a big Inter fan, and he was basically saying, look, the reason why Conte doesn't fancy him is because he is this luxury player who doesn't do all the other things that Conte wants him to do, and he just doesn't fit into his system. And then, you know, as soon as this guy was describing to me this situation, it was just Ozil was just going off in my head. It's like basically the same situation. So as much as I think like Eriksen is this, like, you know, he's a super talented player, right? Like, and he's 28 years old and he's Premier League quality and proven. And, you know, on one hand, if we can get him for the prices that are being quoted, I still think on the balance of it, I think we should probably do it. But if it is a case where Ozil isn't being picked because of footballing reasons, then surely Eriksen doesn't get in the side for the same reason.
It's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be there's going to be another player for us to sit here and fuss about every week.
Yeah. Real, for you, Eriksen or Jack Wilshere?
Well, I'm in the same camp in the sense that in terms of on the pitch, Eriksen brings you more than Wilshere does because of all the injuries and what must be the confidence. But then if you look at, you know, what Wilshere could bring you off the pitch and to those young players, I think that's such a great point that MOLDE makes about how they all look up to him, and he can actually talk through where he went a bit wrong, because obviously something went wrong. Some of the injuries preventable by by your lifestyle off the pitch, your diet, that kind of thing. So maybe he can talk through some of that, where things went wrong as well. So that would be a huge asset. But when you see him I don't know where he would fit in on the pitch, and you wouldn't want him playing instead of one of the young players. What we want is to bring those young players through. And then same thing with Eriksen. I mean, if Eriksen did come, I prefer, by the way, that he doesn't. But if, let's say, you had to bring one over the other, Eriksen would bring you more. But again, it's a stopgap kind of solution. It's not a long-term solution at all. And that's the kind of issues we have with that January transfer window. Is somebody like Eriksen's only getting mentioned because you can feel that he's fallen out of favour with the Conte, and then you think, okay, he used to live in London, so maybe he'll come back, that kind of thing. But I don't think he's the solution we're looking for. And if we were talking about the summer transfer window, he wouldn't even be mentioned.
Yeah.
I take him on a loan. I take him on a loan in January though, till the end of the season. Now that makes sense. Why not? Why not take him for it? They want to loan him to us till the end of the season. I would take that. I'm just low risk, just like Ceballos. I'm ready to send him back too. He's then another one too. He's starting to, Ceballos is this wonderful player. But we have two Ceballos at this club that you don't know who's going to show up on the day. That's the problem that I'm having with him. You don't know who's going to show up. There was one on the Emery that couldn't get it right. Arteta came in towards the end of the season. He played so well with Xhaka that everybody wanted him back. And now he's turned back into the one that was with Emery again. Like, he just sits on the ball the whole day. I'm kind of glad that we didn't purchase him. So we got to give the board credit too. Maybe he can improve going on to the end of the season, but the inconsistency in the midfield, I don't think we have the luxury for that right now.
Yeah.
Just to build very quickly, Alex. Ralph and Mobe both been talking about this off the pitch stuff about Wilshere. It is a really important point, because if you think of it, Wilshere at any point, if he's in that dressing room, can look at those guys and say, listen, at one point, I was playing against Barcelona at the Emirates, bossing the game. I was the bee's knees. A few years later, I'm on loan at Bournemouth. And a few years later, I didn't have a club. No one would take me. Things can change like that unless you focus. And I'm not saying it's because he didn't focus, but I think the point is that what he would be able to say to those kids is that don't take anything for granted at all. Work every day. Play so hard. Because these guys are right. Wilshere is the poster boy for Hale End, right? He is the example that they'll probably hang up on the wall, and they say, this is what can happen to you. You can come here as a kid. You can make it in the first team. You can play for your national team. He is the poster boy. He's also the poster boy of what can happen when things don't go right. Okay, so in that respect, I really do think that off the pitch thing is a really, it could be very important with the amount of young players that we have who are on the verge of the first team. I think it could be really powerful. So again, I'm not adverse to this pay as you play kind of getting him in, and I think it can have a lot of off the pitch benefits.
Yeah, I second that. Let me go into the live chat. I've got Janus who says, "Hail them people must start ahead of Laka and Willian." Oof. Really? Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd love it, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we all love it if the Hale End boys ended up, running the show and we ended up dominating the Premier League? Of course we would. But we just need to we can't play 10
academy players. It's just not gonna happen. That's what people don't get. And all the time, James be on this show, and me and James get into it because he always tells me about Ballard, that player at another club, and how he hasn't get a chance at Arsenal, and how it goes in this club that he's at over in the Dutch league. I'm like, you have to remember, these clubs like Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, these clubs, they literally have to sign players for these sponsors. You think Arsenal will get the kind of sponsorship they do if they only have young players? You have to get a key player to sell those Adidas shirts. You need Aubameyang to sell those Adidas shirts. It's a part of the game. It's a part of the money that's coming into the club. You're gonna every now and again you're gonna get a player like Saka that we all love. Everybody will go buy a Saka shirt because we all love him. But fans want to see players coming in. They want to sign players. We signed Gabriel. I know we have a lot of players on loan, but every club does that. You know, I don't have a problem with sending players on loan if we decide to give them a chance. And if we can't, everybody's not going to make it. It's just the way it is. Everybody's not going to make it. I have a problem with us sending them on loan and then let the contract run out and they leave free and we get nothing out of it. Now, if we send them on loan, they do well. If we don't have any space for them, get some money for them. But everyone is not going to make it. We had 11 players in the squad last night from our academy. It's hard to really say that 11 of them are going to make it to the first team, or we're going to have a start 11 with all academy players. It's probably never going to happen. So that's what we have to we have to look at it like, if we can get 4 or 5 of these guys in the starting lineup, you know, it's a plus. That's a big win. And at the minute, it might not look like it, but we do play a lot of our academy players in our. We got Bellerin, we got Willock, we do play a lot of them. Niles, we have Saka, we have Nelson. We are playing a lot of these players, but we're never gonna not go into the transfer. We can't just see these players play last. And I see on Twitter people like, stop going spending $100 million of players, and we have all these players in the academy. That's not how it works. Okay, Adidas is not giving us all this money, you know, to go promote a 17-year-old from the league to come. They're not gonna make their money that they're giving us back. It's a business. Football is a business. You have to sign some players to really pay back your debt that you owe, because that's what it is. It really is the debt that you owe to these sponsors, the Emirates, the Adidas, all these people. We owe debt to them, and we have to. We're not going to bring in. I'm not saying bringing in 5-6 players, but we have to sign key players at key points. That's why it was so important that we re-signed Aubameyang, because they know how important that was, more than just football. It was important for the fans. It was important for Arsenal as a club, because now if Aubameyang had left last summer, we're just back to square one, looking like the same club that we're looking like, losing Van Persie when we did, losing Fabregas to Barcelona. We're just right back to square one, losing our best players to other clubs. So it was so important that we did that. So yes, we want to see our young players play, but come on, we're not going to see, all of them are not going to make it. Just let's get that in our head.
Yeah, it's not just shirt sales, is it? I mean, it's also, in any business, you can't just risk on all these unknowns, because all the kids are unknown until they actually start playing. So at some point, you can't put all your risk into the unknown. You can decide, okay, I'm going to risk a certain part of this, but then I have to invest in things that are proven, or at least proven at this kind of level before we start throwing in all these kids and then not having invested in anybody. And then you'd have like a void of any, you know, if they did all fail, you'd have this void for like 2-3 years where you didn't have the right players. So it's a gradual thing. It's not just going all in with these kids. And it also would be so much pressure on them. Imagine them all having to play together. That would be, this would be a huge pressure thing.
And you know what? Let's learn from the past. Let's do a very basic exercise here, right? Do you remember? Let's go to 2008, when Arsenal used to play the Carling Cup, and we used to put out a team that would batter teams. We played Sheffield United in the Carling Cup in 2008. We won 6-0. And I remember around that time, people were like, these kids, they're going to dominate the world. They're the greatest, whatever. I went through, before this show, I Googled that team, okay? If we look at every player who played in that team one by one, and let's look at the height that they got to. So that team, Fabianski, okay, he's managed to have a Premier League career, okay, at West Ham or whatever. Gavin Hoyt, I'm not really sure, did he go that far? Okay. Johan Juru, okay, he played a bit for Arsenal, but about it. Alex Song, okay, he ended up kind of on the bench at Barcelona. So fair enough, he went to Barcelona as a backup player at Barca for a while. Okay. Kieran Gibbs, he's at West Brom now. Mark Randall, I don't know, what Mark Randall's doing at the moment. Aaron Ramsey, probably the best one, right? He's gone on, he's playing for Juventus, great. Fran Merida. Fran Merida's playing, I think, 3rd division in Portugal. Jack Wilshere. We've just talked about Jack Wilshere. Nicholas Bentner. What was Bentner's, okay. Carlos Vela is playing in the MLS. Now, so the reason why I just wanted to do that very quickly is that was a team of youngsters that were battering teams 6-0 in the Carling Cup that we thought were going to run the world, okay? But if you look at the height that all those players get, it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as saying these are talented kids. We have to play them. They're going to be amazing. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. And we need to learn from the past. As fans, we need to come on, let's be smart about this, guys. Like,
gotta get
we've seen
the
this
mixture.
before.
Gotta get the mixture right. It's the
Got
same
it,
thing
like,
buying five players doesn't mean you're gonna challenge for the league.
Right.
You just have to get the mixture right. It's not just playing all these players are around the same age. If you look at all these players, they're all around the same age. All of them are not going to make it. I love to see Balogun and Ketia star at the Emirates for a while. But let's be honest, we have more. We have John Jules that's in the academy. That's a good player. All these players we're going to have to sell some of them. All of them are not going to make it because they're all around the same age group. So we have to make some tough decisions at time, and fans are not going to be happy about it. But the balance just have to be right, and I think we're getting it right now with the players that we have in the defense right now. If we can just we have a Saliba, we have a Gabriel that's going to be proven next season. If we can get a good player beside him, if Saliba or Holding can step up to the plate, then we can move further forward. We have a Partey in the middle. You have, you can put a Willock beside him. You have to put experienced players around these young players. If you're going to play Aubameyang up front, you can have 2 youngsters with him on the wing, but you can't just put 11 youngsters in the field. It's just not going to work. Not going to work.
Yeah, right. Let me go back into the live chat. What else was there? This is a funny one. Mr. 999 says, believe it or not, Alex was suggesting Balogun over Alba earlier. No, I wasn't. I wasn't. It was a joke. I would never say that. Balogun playing instead of Alba. Somebody's been on the Amber Nectar. It wasn't me. Anyway, Ashley D says, don't worry, Jack Wilshere will be back as super sub. Only players you play contract. He's not coming back.
What does he know? What does he know that we don't?
It could be, yeah. Ashley, what do you know that we don't know?
ITK Ashley D. That's what I'm talking about.
There's a question for you guys, actually. Alex, what do you think of our Florent Balogun? Ralph, thoughts?
Well, so far so good from kind of the little snippets we've seen, and of course the nice thing was that he scored the goal, and it was that kind of thing that you wanted. That I think he'd only just come on by then, or had he come on a bit earlier, but it was one of his few chances he gets and he scores. So that's kind of what we've maybe been missing or looking at. I mean, at this point, I think he has a lot of interesting qualities. But it's just that thing of not burning the kid and throwing into, to try and lead the line instead of Lacazette or something like that in the Premier League. It's let's start watching him now over the course of these few months and see how he starts to adapt to the rhythm of these games. Because of course, these kids are all playing the Premier League 2 and the under 23s games, but that's not the same kind of rhythm or fitness levels that they'll see in the Premier League. So it's just a case of building up. But so far, some very interesting qualities, and that if you have that knack of taking your chances, then that's hard to teach, isn't it? That's that kind of instinct that we need.
Yeah. Colin Young says players in a competitive team need the bench need to be benched when they are not on form. Entitled players to positions is killing us, Raj. We're playing players who feel they're entitled to be in the first team, whereas they should be benched if they're off form.
Yeah, I don't think there's many players who fall into that category for us, but I think that is a true point. I think, what we're seeing a little bit is, I think as fans, we're watching it and we're saying, well, Willian's getting a lot of chances, Laka's getting a lot of chances, but there are other players who perhaps aren't getting the chances, or, like Pepe perhaps. Prior to the Leeds game, I think a lot of the fan base was very much like, well, why isn't Pepe getting games? Why is Willian getting lots of games? So I think what's difficult is that on the face of it, there seems to be a bit of inconsistency with Arteta's approach. On the face of it, it looks like he's just giving some players loads of chances and fewer to others. Yeah, Laka, Willian, and fewer to others. Again, we don't see what happens in training. We don't see other aspects of it. But on the face of it, I do agree with Colin's point. I don't think any of our players should be put in a position where they feel that their position is guaranteed because of their experience.
I'm not even gonna bring up Lacazette. I'm bringing up Bellerin. That's the only player in this team. I feel like he can't get dropped. That's the one for me. Lacazette been dropped. Let's not get it twisted. He was out of the team for 3-4 games. He's not guaranteed a place in the squad, and he's definitely not playing now. But Bellerin, no matter what Bellerin do, I don't know what Niles must be. If I was Niles, I'd be fuming. I should have left and went to Wolves because no matter how Bellerin play, the mistakes he make, he starts every game. He just starts every game. Let's try something different every now and again. You know, if a player is off form, it's okay to rest a play. It's okay for him to not to play. I know you're trying to keep the back four together, or that's a recipe for building up something, but definitely want to see players held accountable, and he's one of them that fall into that category for me.
But MOLDE like hasn't in fairness hasn't in a period where we're not doing very well in an attacking sense. Bellerin's, I think he's got our most assists, hasn't he? Isn't he like, so in fairness, do we not need him on the pitch? Because he's the only one.
Man. we need to move him. We need to put him to play a right winger then, because defensively he's shocking, man. It's happening every week. He is. They was ripping him again, and it's not just him. It's just that right hand side of the field. We do not get the balance right over there for some reason. No matter who plays with him, we're always so wide open on the left hand side of the field. Always. We're this team. This is our team. We're attacked down our left. We're wide open on our right. You know, nothing ever happened over there, but that's where all the chances come against us, is from the right hand side of the field. So that's my thinking of that. Yes, he's better going forward. I'm not going to say he's good. He's not got to his level that he was a few years ago, because he does have a lot of assists, but he could have a lot more. There's so much wasted chances that he get in the box and just don't do what he's supposed to do. But I'm not the biggest fan of Bellerin, let's just say. But defensively, he's not the best. He's not the best. I did come on the show, and I didn't want him to get sold. I did come on here and I did say that when he was linked with PSG, I did not want him to be sold, and I still don't want him to be sold. I think he has something in him that he can offer us. I just don't think that he should be starting every game regardless of form. If you're not playing right, we have three right backs at this club. We have Cedric, we have him, and Niles can play there too. You want to tell me that we can't find someone that can do a defensive job? I think we can.
Yeah. No. Actually, this is doesn't matter where Auba plays if we do not bother to get out of our half. Yeah. But also, Raj, I saw another tweet from you. You actually were saying, well, you wasn't criticizing Auba, but you were just saying literally that he needs to be maybe the catalyst to try and make something out of nothing, because when he's marched out of the game, he doesn't give us anything else, does he, Auba? Once he's marched out, that is it. We're not scoring any goals.
I'm going to be careful with what I tweet around you, mate.
I read all your tweets.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think where I was going with that, mate, is that, and I don't always like looking at things this way, but the fact of the matter is, he is the highest paid player in the Premier League. That's the fact of the matter. And I think when you are the highest paid player in arguably the most competitive league in the world, and you're an attacking player, I don't think it's too much to expect moments of inspiration. I don't think it's too much to expect that, periods where you're off form don't last for very long. Unfortunately, I just think it's something that goes with the territory. I love Auba. I'm not losing faith in him whatsoever, and I think he's going to come back. But I think that I think in a scenario where you play in a team, because, by the way, let's be clear, there are other teams in the world, in Europe, top European teams, who don't create a load of chances. Like, if we look at Atletico Madrid and the way they play, they don't create loads of chances. But they play in a system where they put a lot of onus on their forward line to take their chances. It's just the system that they play. And I think in that respect, when you've got the highest paid player in the Premier League and he is one of your attacking options, I just feel that he, one, needs to take the chances when they come. Two, be able to create stuff out of nothing. He's the highest paid player in the Premier League, an attacking player. I feel that he needs to be able to create something out of nothing, and he's capable of doing it. We've seen some goals for Arsenal where it's come out of very little. He's a world-class player, and so I think it's right for us as a fan base to expect that of him. I think it is.
And so, what about the other argument? You're just talking about a player who's the highest paid player. What about our record signing? Does he not have a responsibility? If he's a record signing at £72 million, should we not demand a lot more from Nicolas Pepe, Ralph? I'm just saying.
I feel we do. I feel we have been demanding quite a lot of him, and for now he hasn't delivered, and that's why he's been getting some of the criticism he has. But I think it's more to Raj's point about the difference with Aubameyang is that he's proven it, he's done it. He's also usually wearing the captain's armband, so you're kind of thinking if there's one person I want on the pitch to inspire us, it's him. And with the Pepe situation, it's interesting. I mean, I think yesterday, obviously a much lower quality team, but that's when he did realise, he thought, okay, I'm probably the main source of attack here, and I'm, the pressure is on me to kind of deliver something, and he started to. But I feel with Pepe we've been quite demanding of him, or at least I have. I've definitely expected more from him, and hoped for more from him, and kind of understood why at some point he's been dropped, because he hasn't been able to deliver all that end product that you're kind of hoping from.
Yeah, I agree. Mube, your thoughts? Is our record signing? Should we demand more, or is it? It's not his fault that he's our record signing.
No, it's not his fault. I do think I agree with what Ralph just said. I demand a lot from him. We all come on the show and he doesn't perform. I think he get his fair share of criticism. I don't think anybody really come out here and wholeheartedly say that he deserves to play every game. I really don't think there's a fan that you can find that does that. But at the same time, he doesn't really start a lot of games either. We can say what we want of him and we can demand from him, but he doesn't start a lot of games. He's only started 2 Premier League games. One was away to Manchester City where we played without a forward. We played William as a false 9. That was his first start of the season. He doesn't start a lot of games, and he played in these Europa League games. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at the other Europa League games that he played this season, and you can see the expression on his face, he does not want to play this game, because you just know that this just pretty much means you're not going to start on the weekend. And he knows that as a player. Record signing, I'm playing with these kids. Manchester United coming up on the weekend. I know I'm not going to play. It's hard to get motivated to go out there and do that. But this game that he just played, you can tell that was a different Pepe that played in this Europa League game, because he looked like he wanted to play that game. He was happy. When Nelson scored, he was celebrating. He was smiling. He was taking on players. He looked like he was the player. He felt like he was the man in this team, and I'm going to make stuff happen. That's what you want to see from him. So maybe, we're all going to fuss at him for what he did in these games, but maybe this is the kind of thing that need to happen to him to kind of light a fire underneath him. I hope he can keep it up. The next game that he's going to play in the Europa League game, let's see what he does in that game. Let's see if he can bring us on, because he's going to miss the next 3 Premier League games, unfortunately, especially ones against Spurs. If you ever want to be, come back into form, that's the kind of game that you want to play in for a player at his quality. You want to play against, our arch rival. You want to score against Spurs, but he's going to miss out on that for his stupidity now. But let's see if he can just keep this form up and come back, man, because I really do think he's our best option on the right-hand side of that front 3. Like, he's our best option. He's just not doing what he's supposed to do. So we need to demand more from him, like we need to do from Aubameyang also. And all these players, we need to demand more from all of them, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mube's rightly mentioned, back in Premier League action on Sunday against Wolves. Yeah, Espirito Santos Portuguese revolution at the Emirates come Sunday. A quick review on that, Raj. Your thoughts? What's incoming? I'm not going to ask you a prediction.
I think one of our best Arteta performances was away at Wolves last season. I think under Arteta, that's probably, when I think about it, that's probably the best performance we've been when we went away to Wolves and we won. I thought we did. That was a very underrated result. They were a great side defensively. They're a very good side at home, and we won. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think, again, going back to what we're talking about, how we've been playing in the Premier League, it's hard. It's really hard to predict. It's even hard to get up for. I feel it's really hard to just get excited about. Like it's just I really want to see. I really want to see a little bit more of the freedom that we seem to be playing with in the Europa League. I want to see a little bit more of that. I want to see, because Ralph, the reason why I asked Ralph that question earlier around fear is I see that at the moment. When I see our players playing, particularly in the Premier League, I see a little bit of fear. I feel like they are passing it where they feel that the boss wants them to pass the ball. They're not thinking for themselves. I think they're scared of just making the wrong decision and the boss having a go at them. And you can hear Arteta on the sideline the whole time, going on. And that's why. And I just want to see them play with a little bit more freedom and just an enthusiasm and less fear. If we do that, we've got so much talent in this team, and I think building on the defensive structure that we've already, really kind of drilled down, I feel like we could do something. But it's going to be a really tough game. Wolves are a damn good side, good side. Even losing Diego Jota, they've. I mean, Neto's stepped up to the game, has he? He's really stepped up to the plate.
Ralph, your thoughts on Sunday's game, Wolves?
It's interesting. I was just checking their record this season. They're exactly the same as us in terms of scored 9 goals, conceded 10. So they're maybe having some similar issues in terms of scoring compared to last year. I know because I have Adama Traore in my fantasy league team, and he's doing nothing this year after last season being excellent for me. But I think it's going to be a tough match because we've seen Wolves have managed to build that team together. Yes, they lost Jota to Liverpool, but otherwise they've managed to keep most of that team together from last season that did so well. They're very well organised with with their style of play, and I think they're the kind of team that could cause us problems. And then what we're seeing from our side is we don't have that confidence at home. We don't feel like we're going to win our home matches because of. I mean, we had the loss with Leicester, with Villa. We're kind of it's not like we're having that issue maybe of 2 or 3 seasons ago where we were doing really, we're always winning at the Emirates and we just couldn't pick up any points away. We're kind of now in this, I wouldn't say a reverse because we're still having some troubles away, but we don't have that, we don't have that feeling of, it's a home match, we should win this. So I think it's going to be a tough one, but as you didn't ask for a prediction, I happily won't give one.
Move, man. Thoughts?
Definitely give it a prediction because Alex trying to win my money at the end of the season. Not gonna happen. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough game, man. Like I said, we always should be looking forward to our own fixtures, but I never look forward to playing Wolves, man. We know exactly what we're gonna get, and it always seems to be a game that we struggle to play well in. The last game that we played away, that game that we won 2-0, I think we really played well in that game. The only good thing I like about playing Wolves is just exactly what they're going to do. Maybe that will work in our favor. I don't know. Nuno's not going to change it. He's going to come and he's going to play that way. The same thing. Well, we can say the same thing about Leeds also. And we went there, but we didn't do what we're supposed to do because we know what Leeds were going to do, and we act like we were clueless when we start that game. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough game. It's a home game. We should be taking points from this team, 3 points from this team. But I don't know the confidence. I think if we can get Thomas Partey back in that midfield, I think. What about El Nene in his virus situation? He should be able to play now. I see Salah playing yesterday, so he should be back also. Maybe that will make a difference in our midfield. I see Salah playing yesterday too. So I think we should have some players back. But if we can get Partey back in that midfield, it does make a big difference. And if we can get the right lineup at home, we know Wolves are going to try and hit us on the counter attack. They're going to sit back, but we do need to be at near to full strength to even try and get something out of this game for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Raj, you okay there? You're looking a little bit bleary-eyed there. One glass of wine too many, I see.
So it's the opposite. My glass is empty.
All right.
That's why you look like that.
Exactly. You know, I was also just thinking when Mobe was just talking about Partey, I was thinking about how in the Leeds game, it would have been so good to have him in that game. You know, that the tempo of that game, the nature of how it played out. It's the exact sort of game you need a Thomas Partey for. You know, I was just thinking back. I was remembering his performance against United and how dominating he was, and I was just, you know, what a player he is. And I think the sooner he can get back in this side, I think we bloody need him. You know, we really, really need him. He's such a good player. So I think if we can get him against Wolves again, I think Momo's right. I think you know what to expect against Wolves. And I think, again, he'll be an incredibly important person to play against a team like Wolves.
Yeah. Let me go into the live chat just for the last one before we wrap up this segment of the Easy Talk. Mube, there's one for you. Ashley D says, Mube wearing a beanie in a hotel? Are you cold or having a bad hair day?
Yeah. It's cold, man. It's cold. Pretty bad. It's cold.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold.
Lee Flanagan says Laka is a flop and the forwards have no hold-up play. Work hard enough off the ball constantly. Drive at defenses and beat a man. It's pathetic. Oh, it was the same last year. God dare me. Oh, I've got no response for that. I'm not going to respond to that. Do you want to say something, Mube?
No.
No? All right, okay, we'll move on. What else is there? There's one here. Jack brings a much-needed passion and fight, which seems to have disappeared. Yeah, dearie me.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, I think we could be kind of harsh about that. Like, I think our fight in our team, is like vastly improved. We played for 45 minutes against Leeds with 10 men, and I thought our fight was fantastic. Actually, like, I'm not sure it's fight that's lacking. I don't know if it's that. I always think there's an element of that kind of creativity and that kind of just free spiritedness that I think is lacking.
Yeah, we have fighters. Sabella's just fighting everybody. He's just fighting his own teammates. He's fighting Nketiah. He's fighting Luis. We got fighters in this team. Sabella's is knocking out everybody before you go back to Madrid.
Yeah.
It's fake news.
which Arteta then basically confirmed, right?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see any cuts on the nose or anything, but yeah. Anyway, Viper says, "Big up, guys! Really enjoying the stream. Thank you for that, Viper." As a question for you guys, what front three would you like to see versus Wolves, Ralph?
Oh, okay. Alba, that was easy. I think I'd go. I'm between kind of Nketiah and Laka now, because Nketiah didn't have a great game on Thursday either. So, but I think I put Laka and Alba, but I don't want to play Willian. So let me think, because there's no payment. I don't know who I'd throw in there, to be honest, because we're struggling so much up there. I mean, I'll probably end up saying, okay, Willian, but I'm not convinced by him either. I'd like Pepe to come. It's such a shame he's suspended after having that good game.
What about Nelson? No?
Yeah, maybe this is one for Nelson, but I'm so scared about that we burn out these players of somebody that has to travel up to Norway, play on a Thursday, come back, and he's not a regular starter, and suddenly it's like, oh, you've got to play these two back-to-back games. So my only concern there is that we play him and he doesn't have a great, let's say, 50, 60 minutes. Yeah. And then maybe he feels, oh, I've lost my chance, kind of thing.
Oh, Raj, front three.
Yeah, like what I was going to say actually is, on the balance of everything, I was going to say Nelson on the left, Ober in the center, and Willian on the right. I think a couple of things to factor in. One, apparently our flight got cancelled back from Molde, right? So we stayed another day, and that's probably not ideal. There's probably an argument to say playing Saka in a wide position and playing, Maitland-Niles potentially in that like left wing back position, because Maitland-Niles played a lot of the games at left wing back at the start of this season. I thought he was doing very well in that position. So I think, putting Maitland-Niles there with Saka playing above him is an idea. Oba can play in the centre. Willian could potentially play on the right if, something like that. But look, I think, overall, I'd probably say Nelson on the left, Oba in the middle, and Willian on the right. That's probably what I'd go for.
Okay. Mube, your front three.
Alba up front, Saka on the left, Nelson on the right.
Well,
easy. That's, I don't want to. I'm done with Willian Archie, fam. Like,
but
he got to prove. He got to prove himself. He got to go play next Thursday, man. If Nelson doesn't play well, then you can bring on a Willian. But he needs to play some Thursday night's game. He needs to earn that spot, and he hasn't earned the spot. What difference are we going to see from him? Nelson. Maybe he can get a good 60 minutes out of him and then get William off the bench. We don't really have a lot of choices, and it all depends on the formation that we're going to play. Are we going to go back to this, 5 at the back, whatever it is, 4.5 at the back? I don't even know what the formation is anymore. We're going to go back to that, or we're going to stick to this 4-3-3 that we've been playing. Like I said, a lot is going to depend on if we can get a Thomas Partey fit. Because I think if we can get him fit, then we're not going to play 5 at the back. I think we play 3 in the middle. And I think a Partey and a El Nene and a Willock, I think that will be a good midfield 3 to play against Wolves. I really do think that will be. And then that will kind of free up the front 3 a little bit. But I do think Alba just need to get 2 wingers. And Willian is not a winger. That's my point. He doesn't get past players. I like players that can go down the byline and cross it in. You got a striker now. Now we have our $200 million striker in the middle of the field. Now we got to create some chances for him. William, the next thing William been doing too, that's been going, and people haven't been noticing it, but I've seen it. A couple of the goals that we conceded lately was his fault. He give away a lot of ball, and we lose out on counter attack because of him. So it's not just he's not providing a lot of stuff. He's losing a lot of those balls too. I think he need to earn his spot. And I don't want to see him start. And he's injured anyway. After the day he was injured. I don't wish injury or no player. I want to see him on the bench and he can come off. I think Nelson right now, he has the bit between his teeth, man. But he's a young player, man. He's 20 years old. He hasn't played all season. He got another 60, 70 minutes in his leg. That's all we need him for. And then we can bring on a more experienced player to close out the game.
Okay. All right. Last time into the live chat. Cy Tyson says, big respect, lads. Thank you for that. Connor Young says, a bag of lollipops and soda pop replaced Shaka. That's a bit harsh now, isn't it? That's a little bit harsh. God, Terry, me.
I know, it's a very, very interesting way of putting it, though, isn't it? A bag of lollipops and soda, yeah. A bit harsh, yeah. But Xhaka is the most divisive player at the club by far, isn't he? Though
I thought he had a fairly good game on Thursday. He played all right. There was no mishaps, no silly yellow cards. He played okay on Thursday night. Anyway, listen, guys, we've come to an end on this Easy Talk. Slightly longer than I anticipated, but always a good time to chat Arsenal with my fantastic panelists. Before we're done and dusted with this one, I'm going to say a big thank you to Ralph. Thank you very much, Ralph. All right, okay, all right.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was just relaxing there. No, thanks. Good to be here again. Always happy to be here on a Friday and have a chat with you guys, because it's the only time I can really talk with you guys over in London, because usually I'm at work. So this is perfect.
That or chatting in the WhatsApp group as well. But
yeah,
nice one. Raj, looking a bit blurry-eyed there with the wine, sipping the wine there.
I'm looking to fill up my glass again at the end of it. No, thank you. Thanks, Alex. Obviously, always such a pleasure to be on. And, Ralph and Mobe, love you guys. I really enjoy talking football with you all. And thanks, everyone, for listening as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Last but not least, chairman of the board, Mobe. Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
I'm trying to Google, see where the closest liquor store is at this place. I can go get me a bottle of Hennessy. Raj got me one to drink. Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure to be on the show with you boys, man. You already know, anytime you need we're gonna be here. So let's get it.
Brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, so those of you who've just tuned in or just seen this live show for the first time on Canon 42, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you can see all the wonderful content on this wonderful platform. And we're still making our way to 10,000. We're like 200 short now, but we're getting in the right direction to infinity and beyond somewhere. So that's it. Enjoy this maybe now on a replay at a later stage. And again, don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, and you can also become a member. Yeah, a member. You see the ticket tape at the bottom there? It tells you all the information there. Get the merchandise. Well, Mube, where's your merchandise, man? You're not wearing it today. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's at home, man. I'm living out of a suitcase. I'm living like a superstar in a suitcase.
All
I don't
right,
have
okay,
much
all
clothes
right.
with me.
In the Hamptons.
Yeah, I wish.
All right, so that's it, people. That's it. And if you've been wondering who or what you've been watching, well, you've been watching Canon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.